Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced represents far more than a nostalgic return to one of the franchise's most celebrated entries. It signals a deliberate attempt by Ubisoft to reintroduce a defining experience from the early 2010s and reshape it for a modern gaming landscape that has evolved dramatically in terms of technology, design philosophy, and player expectations. The original Assassin's Creed Black Flag, released in 2013, achieved a rare balance. It was deeply rooted in the series' stealth and historical DNA, while simultaneously offering one of the most immersive pirate fantasies ever created in a mainstream video game. Over time, it became clear that Black Flag stood apart not merely as a strong Assassin's Creed title, but as a benchmark for naval exploration and open-world freedom. The decision to revive Black Flag under the name Resynced is particularly revealing. Within the internal logic of the Assassin's Creed universe, synchronization refers to reliving genetic memories through the animus. By branding the remake as Resynced, Ubisoft appears to frame this project as a renewed interpretation of Edward Kenway's memories, rebuilt to align with contemporary hardware, modern gameplay systems, and the current creative direction of the franchise. This linguistic choice alone strongly suggests that the project is conceived as a full remake rather than a surface-level remaster. Instead of simply enhancing resolution or performance, Resynced aims to reconstruct the experience from the ground up, preserving the spirit of the original while altering its structure, mechanics, and presentation to feel native to the current generation. Evidence supporting the project's existence has accumulated steadily, despite the absence of an official announcement. One of the strongest indicators emerged through a listing on the European PEGI rating board, which explicitly referenced Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. Rating board leaks have historically proven reliable precursors to formal reveals, as games must undergo classification close to their release window. This was further reinforced by the registration of a domain name closely matching the rumored title, using infrastructure commonly associated with Ubisoft's marketing operations. While none of these elements alone would constitute confirmation, together they form a pattern that aligns closely with Ubisoft's previous reveal strategies. Additional circumstantial evidence has fueled speculation. Ubisoft's re-uploading of the original Black Flag soundtrack to official channels, publicly explained as a technical correction, was interpreted by many fans as a preparatory move, particularly given the timing and renewed attention surrounding the game. Industry insiders have since suggested that the remake is targeting release before the end of Ubisoft's current fiscal year, pointing toward an early 2026 launch window. Taken collectively, these signals strongly imply that Resynced is not a distant concept, but a project approaching completion. One of the most intriguing dimensions surrounding Black Flag Resynced is the persistent discussion of a potential shadow drop strategy. In the modern games industry, a shadow drop refers to the sudden release or reveal of a game with little to no prior marketing buildup. Instead of months of trailers, developer diaries, and promotional campaigns, the title is either announced and released simultaneously or unveiled only shortly before launch. This approach is rare for large publishers, but when executed successfully, it can generate an enormous wave of organic attention driven by surprise and community momentum rather than traditional advertising. In the case of Black Flag, the shadow drop theory has gained traction precisely because of what is missing, rather than what is present. Ubisoft has remained conspicuously silent about the project, despite mounting evidence of its existence. There has been no teaser trailer, no official press release, and no acknowledgement during major industry showcases where fans fully expected a reveal. Instead, information has surfaced indirectly, through rating board listings, domain registrations, soundtrack re-uploads, and insider reports. This pattern suggests a controlled leak environment rather than accidental disclosure, where awareness spreads through the community without Ubisoft ever formally stepping into the spotlight. A shadow drop would make strategic sense for a remake like Black Flag Resynced. Unlike a new intellectual property, Black Flag already carries immense brand recognition and emotional weight. Ubisoft would not need to educate audiences about the setting, premise, or core fantasy. The name alone is enough to spark widespread interest. By avoiding a prolonged marketing cycle, the company could allow nostalgia and surprise to do much of the promotional work organically, particularly across social media platforms and content-driven spaces like YouTube and Twitch. There is also a risk management element to this approach. Ubisoft has faced criticism in recent years regarding marketing overexposure, inflated expectations, and feature promises that ultimately disappointed parts of the fanbase. A shadow drop limits the window between announcement and consumer experience, reducing the opportunity for speculative backlash and allowing the game to speak for itself. In this sense, surprise becomes a protective strategy as much as a promotional one. The timing implied by insider reports further reinforces the plausibility of a shadow drop. If Black Flag Resynced is indeed scheduled for release within a narrow fiscal window, there may be little incentive for Ubisoft to initiate a long campaign. Instead, a sudden reveal, perhaps tied to a smaller digital showcase or even a standalone announcement, could immediately convert attention into sales. This would be particularly effective if the game launches in a polished, content-complete state, confident in its ability to win players over through experience rather than promises. However, the shadow drop concept also introduces uncertainty. Large-scale remakes typically benefit from controlled messaging that clarifies design changes, especially when those changes may be controversial, such as the rumored removal of modern-day content or the introduction of RPG mechanics. A surprise release risks alienating fans who feel unprepared for deviations from the original experience. This tension makes the shadow drop theory both exciting and risky, reflecting Ubisoft's apparent willingness to experiment with how its legacy titles are reintroduced. If Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced does arrive via a shadow drop, it would mark a significant departure from Ubisoft's traditional marketing playbook and signal a new level of confidence in the strength of the brand itself. Rather than asking for attention, the game would seize it, reappearing suddenly, fully formed, and immediately playable. Whether it becomes a definitive modern classic or a subject of ongoing debate will depend on how carefully Ubisoft balances innovation with respect for the original.